All right. So now we're in advisor announcement. Is there any advisor announcements? Okay, doesn't seem like it. So moving on to external shared governance committee reports. I mean, shared governance, sorry, yeah. Do you guys have any news? Anyone? Senators? Doesn't seem like it. Okay, then we can move on to business. Okay. Then, okay. So we're ready to do roll call now. So we're gonna do roll call
Okay, Isaac,
here.
okay, Nicholas,
Here.
Ian,
Here.
Benjamin,
Here.
Aaron, okay, Jana, here, Kate, here, and Lydia, here.
So that concludes roll call. Yeah. So before we get into like real finance stuff, for the first business item, Nicholas, would you like to stand up? Come here. We're gonna host a team bonding activity. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, all right, for this team bonding activity, I would like every one of you to stand up and gather here in the middle. In the middle? Yeah. Yes. In the middle. Yeah. Some open space. I'm gonna move these out of the way. I don't think we should join. We should, so like we can like moderate. Yeah. What do you want to join, or like moderate? Wait, what? You want to join them as well, or like we just moderate? You moderate. I'll go. Okay. Fine. Sure. All right. I'll just moderate from here. Then. All right. So basically, how this is gonna work is just I'm gonna say like, oh, I just completely stole this from our DASG fall training, by the way, for the senators here. So I'm just gonna say something like, what's your guys' like favorite food or something like that, and you have to find people with all like the same stuff as you guys. It's like if your favorite color is blue, then you find other people whose color is blue, and you get gathered in like a spot, and it's kind of like, you know, you find your group, your people. Okay, sound good? Sure. All right, cool. The first one is, what's your guys' major?
Pretty big group.
Cheers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, Lydia, since when?
Wait, what?
Wait, what? That's right. I thought you were econ.
Are you always in there? No.
Okay. All right.
I have a fix yes, bro.
Is everyone sorted? Is everyone sorted? Okay, wait. What is this group?
Math and econs. Actually, econs.
Econs. Okay.
Yes, bro.
See ya.
I thought there'd be more of you. I thought so too.
Yeah.
Go to the side. Whoever can do the
Science.
together one side.
Data science. Data science. That's actually decently split with like food science, data science. I really thought it was like last year it was just all like computer science. It's like okay, that's interesting. All right.
Yeah.
Here's the second one.
Your birthday?
How many hours of sleep did you guys get last night?
Seven.
Seven, I think. Seven. I got seven. I got seven. How much down over here? Cause I got seven, and how much you y'all got seven.
Yeah, two.
I got three.
No. I didn't sleep. I didn't sleep.
Yeah, he's also there. He didn't sleep.
No sleep. No, I'm just kidding.
All he's at.
No, he's like-
Oh, he's out.
All he's at.
No, there's seven.
Seven.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So what do you guys?
Kind of crazy. I don't think that's.
Seven.
You want to bust seven?
Yeah, they got 7
It's 9.
Hey,
Damn,
that's crazy.
as a senator? Is this
No way.
Yes.
Hello?
8 to 9.
Damn. Dang, Jen, I gotta give you more work, bro.
That's pretty good. Okay, what about you guys?
3.
2? It's like the second week of school, dude.
Yeah. You just like think
about where they went.
Yeah.
What's your excuse?
3?
Yeah. Tell everyone. No, come here. Tell the front.
Oh my God.
Tell everyone what you were doing last night.
I was researching about AI and AI.
You sure?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this guy's playing fake League of Legends on his phone. It's like 4 a.m.
Damn.
All right. Oh, here's one. What's your guys' favorite food from the canteen?
But I'm gonna say the chicken teriyaki. Yeah, your food. I haven't bought this thing.
Yo, the calories? The protein? Oh my gosh.
And also like that broccoli, whatever.
The broccoli. Wait, no, we can do better.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see it. Is everyone sorted in their groups?
That doesn't look started, bro.
What's-
Kind of.
This looks kind of weird. What are the groups here? What are the groups?
This is not a group.
Is this a group? You guys group?
Yeah,
What are you
yeah,
guys?
I like.
I guess.
Yes.
Chicken.
Chicken.
Yeah.
I just chicken.
Like the animal?
Fried chicken.
Fried chicken, okay. And you guys? Oh, you guys haven't tasted, okay.
Mushroom Swiss.
Okay.
Fries.
Fries. Okay, you guys?
I like tomato soup and also this food.
You guys?
Bibimbap.
You guys know that place also sells chicken teriyaki? Shut
No, they're separate. They're separate. That's the noodle bar.
No, but there's two. The bibimbap place also sells chicken teriyaki as well.
This is better. Not like that.
All right. The next one is your favorite subject slash class. So if you guys have taken classes at the ends already, and you're like, oh, my favorite is physics 4A with Eduardo Luna, you can do that as well. They're just like, like,
Favorite.
so like it can be specific, like with like a professor, it could be just general subjects. Up to you guys.
I like that.
What it make it over? I'll pair it with you. Okay, I'm with you.
I don't
I'm with you.
know.
That's
Start.
Let's go. It's fun, bro.
Yeah. I like doing it.
What's your favorite car?
Wait, right? I did my final on the way to P1 and Southern Illinois. Don't let anything go.
Remember that hard.
Yeah, 21 KA, right? Where are you from? I didn't know my dad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, is everyone sorted yet?
How about you?
I think that should be enough. So,
Guys,
wait, so what are you guys?
there's no guys, it's just me.
Oh.
They're all like, we're all like.
Oh, you guys, so you guys are you're like,
Math.
Yeah.
That's it.
okay.
Favorite.
There's not two ways.
Crazy.
2A? Official?
Yeah. We love it.
With who? Your audio? or-
Yeah. Yeah. Not MK.
Okay, okay. What about you guys? Oh, all of them. Art?
Is it math?
Business. You go on.
The math.
What about you? What is the general thing is? Like, math, math or reading? Okay. And then.
That's.
It's not that.
My name's
That. Wait, why is that?
Just like.
You don't math.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. That's the IS.
I like doing what you do.
What?
I like doing
Sorry,
what
what's the name? What about you? Geography. Yeah. I'm saying that. Okay, the next one is favorite music genre. You guys listen to music. I really like.
Your friend. So you wanna like.
We can send it. Give me the
You know.
Okay, let's see. What are you guys?
EDM.
EDM. Okay. What do you guys?
R&B.
R&B. Okay.
Ear rape.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Anything? Anything? Pop.
Yeah, pop. Either small person. EDM.
Okay. Wait, you guys are pop as well.
What's your favorite? Gotta have the.
Pop? Metal.
The sad girl voice. With sad song.
Okay. So the last one is gonna be favorite color. Go.
Black. Blue.
Purple.
Blue.
Black.
Oh, yeah. But they're black.
But we got.
You're very confused.
Oh wait, what is it? Blue, 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 orange. Purple. Is that purple? Oh yeah.
So.
Sorry.
Oh,
Red.
Blue.
Red.
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 Okay, you two, what are you gonna say? Just say, what are you gonna say? Blue. Okay. Purple. Oh yeah. You guys eat some more purple. Yeah.
you eat that one, bro.
Oh,
Yeah.
That anime wasn't funny, dude. We're almost done with 2 more.
Gotta be glad.
You have to watch it.
Okay.
I think that's.
Okay.
One more. No, I think we're good. Okay, Nico, I think.
I don't-
I don't know, say something encouraging or something, I don't know.
All right, that concludes our team bonding activities. If you guys would like to get back to your team. And we're about to start the finance meeting.
Yeah, just take a seat anyway.
We were about to put that, then I was like, it was like that. What do I do?
Okay, so the next business item is going to be the DASG Finance Committee goals and expectations. So this item is to set the tone for the DASG Finance in the 2023-2024 term. Okay, so there's quite a few new faces here. Turns, and then I know senators, not all of you guys worked in the finance committee as well last year, so I think it's good to get a refresher of just kind of like what we do, a little bit of how we do it. So I'm gonna go over more general like things, just like in a way that's like easily digestible. And then towards that, I think after like later on in this meeting, Lisa, who's the accountant over there, hi Lisa. Yeah, she's gonna give a more thorough presentation on kind of like, you know, the details on the whole finance, like more finance things, right? So I think we'll start here first. So this is the DASG Canvas page. So I just want to show you guys this because it's a really good resource for any like interns here. So if you go to just you just look up like DASG, you know, after finance. Yeah, DASG, and you go scroll down here. You can see there's DASG on Canvas, and it's just like a course. You just roll that, and then you basically just like can see a bunch of modules, and then yeah, you can kind of get an idea. You just get a lot of information. So that's one of the ways you guys can get more information on DASG as well. Okay, so for finance specifically, there are a few things that we kind of do. One major thing that we're kind of known for, I'll kind of break it down in a bit. So the first thing is we prepare annual budget of the DASG Senate accounts, audit and evaluate programs funded or requesting funds from DASG, evaluate all sources of DASG revenue. So I guess the two big things of finance right now is that finance we have $1 million budget. We'll get into that a little bit. And then we also have the flea market as well that generates revenue. So flea market would be under Ian and Jana. And then the people who's like supposedly gonna manage the budget would be like the budgeters, Benjamin, Aaron, and Kate. Okay, so we have $1 million budget, and basically what we're gonna do is in fall, we're opening up requests for people to kind of ask us like, hey guys, please give me money, you know, and like programs around the answer. So things like tutoring center or like those are just like example programs like tutoring centers, or like I think if you got to take bio, Jason Graham has like a field trip thing, and then he asked money, things like that, right? Laveau's programs around campus, they're gonna ask us for money. So our job is we're gonna evaluate how we spend this money in order to maximize the well-being, like, you know, the student experience, right? We want to make sure that this money is actually used in a way that benefits the students. And so we're gonna talk about that. So there's gonna be this whole process called budget deliberations. It's a very long process. We'll get into the nitty-gritty of that later on, but basically, we're just trying our best to decide how do we spend this money. Another thing that we're gonna talk about as well is flea market. The mechanics of flea market is a bit interesting just because we just merged with the flea market committee. It used to be a separate committee. Now they're coming on, so we're kind of still deciding on how we're gonna tackle it. Like flea market might have like separate meetings when they need. But I think we'll still get general flea market updates in the finance meeting anyways, right? So we'll still be making decisions on kind of how, like, how to better flea market, things like that. So those are kind of the two big components: $1 million budget, give to programs around campus, make it better, flea market, generate revenue to increase and bolster this budget as well. Is there any questions so far on that explanation? Because I might have gone all over the place. Okay, good. So that's more of just like a general brief idea. We're gonna talk a little bit about kind of, actually there might be one more thing I'll mention later. Yeah, so that's just a general idea. There's a whole timeline on the budget deliberation process. So I know like Nico and Kate, you guys might be more familiar with it since we went through it last year. So there's this whole thing where like in fall, we're gonna be like interviewing people, sending out emails. Winter, we're actually gonna sit down for like 6 hours and actually talk about the budget. And then later we bring it to the Senate. There's like this whole thing. We'll talk about it in detail later. Or maybe another time. And then yeah. Another thing that we also plan to do as well is that we plan on helping certain programs as well. So like, for example, if we decide we can't give enough, like we can't spread the budget to like a certain program, right? We want to still figure out ways in which we can help them, if that makes sense. So for example, a big point of like a big talk was like for the tutoring services. We quite frankly did not have we can't just keep giving the money because it's like, one, it was like an essential service, and then two, it was like draining a big part of our budget. Or like, for example, spending money on advisors as well. So there are things that we're also working on the side, like, okay, how do we help programs financially without still giving money, for example. Right, so we also have those kind of side projects as well. And we can kind of talk a little bit more about the timeline for those things, because I think budget deliberations is more set, as in there's like this set process of like, okay, these are just the steps to do. Those other projects, it's kind of like tentative, we have to go back and forth. Information keeps changing, things like that. So those are things that we're going to talk about throughout the year. In these meetings, also there might be some requests as well. Like sometimes people might come in and ask for money from special allocations, things like that. We also decide on that as well. So I think that's something that I think Lisa can cover as well. Kind of the idea of like all the pots of money that we have, how they kind of interact, right? We'll go into that deeper in a second. So I think that's that from my end. Nicholas, is there anything I missed?
No, you're good.
Okay. I know I have to take you. Okay, so I think who's next? Oh, this is item 2. Let's go. Okay. Oh, speaking of that, actually, business item 3 would be Lisa. Fall 2023 budget overview, updates and revisions. This item is to review the process of the budget process, Fund 41, Fund 46, current updates and revisions, as well as pending requests for funding on upcoming events.
You want me to come up there?
Yeah, that'd be great.
I don't have my computer, so maybe we can just.
Oh, yeah.
The link, it's out there.
All the presentation should be here.
Yeah, I would say go ahead and start. So I'm Lisa Kirk. I think maybe I introduce myself to some of you on your training days. Okay, so this is just kind of a real, how many of you are familiar with the different funds that DSG has, the Fund 41 and the Fund 46? Hands, anybody? Okay, 1, 2, 3. All right, I'm sorry, I'm not sure who was on the finance committee last year. I know you were.
Yeah.
Are you the only one?
No, there's Nico, Kate.
Okay. So, so the Fund 41 is the larger of your two funds is your general fund. Your Fund 46 is your DSG student representation fee. Both of the student rep fee, the rep fee is optional. And your quarterly fee for the DSG membership fee is also optional when students register. Okay. I'm gonna just go down. Yeah.
I can, yeah.
Let's just go down, okay, let's see. Okay, so these are just some budget definitions and processes. Maybe I can stand back here, I can see better. Yeah, okay. Okay, so our fiscal year, we go on a fiscal year, July 1st to June 30th is our fiscal year. So different organizations use different fiscal years. It's just a 12-month period in our district is July 1st to June 30th. And then our year-end close right here is our process of recording all financial transactions to fiscal year ending June 30th. How many of you are accounting majors? Do we have any accounting majors in the room? One? Okay. Okay, so we DSG works on a balanced budget. So this is how you get your balanced budget. Your estimated revenue plus your prior year surplus fund balance equals the estimated expenses that's available to allocate for the next year. And special allocations, as he mentioned, it's just budgeted to meet the unexpected needs during the fiscal year. So things come up during the year, maybe a new program or a new project or some kind of need that an existing program has. And then this over here is your budget timeline, which is outlined in your DSG finance code. So in the fall, the next year's applications are due. Next year DSG budget applications go out to the campus community. The winter is when the finance committee meets and they send the budget recommendation to the Senate for approval. The Senate approves it. And then in the spring, it's a long process. The spring quarter is when your budget goes to the Foothill De Anza, the FHDA Board of Trustees for final approval in May. Are there any questions about the timeline? So it's basically all year long until the budget gets final approval for the new fiscal year, right? That begins July 1. So right now we're in fiscal year 2023, 2024. And okay, so for Fund 41, so I just included a couple of columns here for you so you can see some actuals for 22-23. And that year, right, just ended June 30th. So our total revenue totaled up, or DSG's total revenue in Fund 41 to $816,437. The main sources of your revenue are the DSG card, that is your DSG, the $10 student body fee per quarter, which is optional. And then declining enrollment headcount results in decreasing revenue. So that's been the trend over many years, and it continues to go down. So the actual for this in 2022-23 was $503,530. And then the flea market is a combination of the food vendors and the monthly. The first Saturday of each month, they have vendors come and reserve a space. And they also have 6-month contracts for vendors who want to have secure space for a 6-month period. So they have the same space each month. Yes, sir.
Can you please expand on the $10 students body fee per
Right
quarter?
here. Okay, so when you register for classes,
Okay,
it's part of your basic
All right,
fees.
okay.
But I think a lot of students don't know that that's an optional fee.
okay,
The $10 is optional. Okay, and that's the biggest portion of what makes up the DSG budget in Fund 41. Okay, so our budget it's a best guess, right? The actual comes in more or less than what the budget is. So the 503 actually surprised me. I thought it was going to be less than that because enrollment has been continuing to decline. So we've seen a little bit of a stabilizing of a enrollment. So that is good news. And also the flea market. So the flea market reopened in May of 2022 after over 2 years that they were closed due to COVID. So it was closed for quite some time, wasn't operational. The college, the district didn't allow it to operate. And then the 2023-2024 budget, which is the fiscal year we're in right now. This is our best estimate. We have a total revenue estimate of 749,725. So if you just look at that number compared to what the actual total revenue was for the fiscal year that just ended, it's less, right? So we're not sure where that actual is going to end up. I think it might come in higher, like 22-23 surprised me a little bit. And then also just the two main sources of the revenue, in the budget, we have the DSG card at 470. I'm estimating probably more like 480, we'll see. And then unless the enrollment headcount stabilizes, that revenue will continue to decline. And then we've just seen some information that enrollment is up slightly. So that's good news. So we're cautiously optimistic, but we'll wait and see how the whole year turns out. But when they're comparing fall of this year to fall of last year, it's up a little bit. But that could change because we're not through the 2-week period of adding and dropping and all of that. And then for the flea market, the estimate is $250,000 for 23-24, and that includes food vendors. The actual will be greater or less depending on, how it goes. I think it might be a little more, we'll see. And the actual revenue for 2022-2023 surprised me. I didn't expect it to be as high as this 260 over here. So it was a very good first year of being open again in the flea market after quite a long time of being closed. Wouldn't you say, Jenna?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Okay. All right. So then the 23-24 budget update. So Fund 41. So you had some unusual things happening. I think the budget is complicated probably enough without adding this into the mix, but it did bring you in extra funds. So you got some one-time funding from our Foothill DMs, the FHDA, for COVID-related lost revenue. So this went into a transfer from other funding sources account. This 382,883 we knew early on in the year, and you did some budget adjustments last year with some of that. But then an additional 436,901 came in like at the end of the fiscal year, I think at the very end of May. So what this does is it results in an estimated budget that you're going to have available to allocate with 24-25 is what it does. So you can see my note there that's what it's going to do. It's temporarily increasing what you your budget you have available to allocate. And so we have some opportunities and challenges. The one-time larger dollar projects can be funded in 24-25 and DSG budget and possible for 23-24 with some approvals of the Finance Committee and then the Senate. And we would have to, I won't go into a lot of detail, but we would have to be reducing the restricted fund balance, that part that's for the 24-25 budget, and moving it to 24 so that it could be used in 23-24, the current fiscal year, which is unrestricted fund balance. Okay, so when you have accounting classes, you don't hear about fund balance, but because we're not for profit, we have fund accounting. Okay, so okay, so the increases. So the challenges here are the increases to the classified labor and benefits are annual, and there's not enough funding in the accounts that were allocated for 23-24 for these positions. With a COLA is a cost of living increase, a cost of living adjustment. So the classified positions are in a bargaining union, and across the board, I think with our faculty association, are classified and on all the different bargaining unions is 7.22% cost of living adjustment. So that's for all the permanent positions. And then in Fund 46, the student rep fee is very limited on what it can be used for. So there's an opt-out waiver of the $2. It's $2 per quarter. fall, winter, and spring. So there's this optional student, SRF continues to decrease the revenue, and then I've given you the actuals here that shows you how much it's increasing every year with the dollar amount of opt-outs that students are opting out. So in 21-22, it was over 15,000, and then in 22-23, the opt-outs were over 17,000. So that continues to decrease the amount of revenue in the Fund 46. So who of you, when you have registered, have noticed the student rep fee coming up for you? Right? Did you know what it was? You did, okay. So I'm just curious, because I think that DSG really needs to do something. I have a note down here about how to encourage students to pay the fee, because I don't have any ideas about doing that. And then how are you going to promote the student rep fee? And some other considerations is you might want to move the Seesaw conference funding to from Fund 46 to Fund 41 in 24-25, because the budget that you're going to have in 24-25 for Fund 46 is a very different story than Fund 41. It has decreased quite a bit, so you're going to have less than you have for the current year. So some of the things that you can do, you can't really, there's not much you can do to increase your revenue except to try to encourage more students to pay the fee and decrease these opt-outs, right? Because that's reducing the revenue that you're actually seeing come into Fund 46. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. Do we have any questions on anything here? So I'm just trying to give you kind of an overview of what's been happening. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, so the 23, when I mentioned the 23-24, that's the fiscal year we're in. There are possible Fund 41 budget revisions. And this is what we would, DSG would need to approve. So it would need to be approved first by the Finance Committee and then by the Senate. A recommendation from the Finance Committee would go to the Senate. And again, you would be decreasing your restricted fund balance account, which is in this account 4132-300, which is called surplus reserve for next year budget. And you would be increasing the unrestricted fund balance account 4131-250 prior year. We have one called prior year funding from other sources, because that's where it came from. And that would require the Senate approval. And then you would be approving, Senate would be approving the detailed Fund 41 budget revisions approved by the DSG Finance based on the amount transferred from restricted fund balance to unrestricted fund balance. So I hope that makes sense. It's not something, it's a very unusual occurrence that something like this would happen. But I would suggest that you do that because you only have a small amount in special allocations in Fund 41 for this fiscal year, and there's a great need for funding in different accounts for the current year that we are in. Okay, and well, I need to use a different color. All these are all on the DSG about the DSG budget, the different sources of information. And I don't know why the color is so bad on there, but this is posted on the agenda, right? And you can copy and paste the links to find exactly where it is, but the amount that we have, DSG has for the 24-25 budget, which we've never seen an amount like this. And it's on the balance sheet. So if you were to go to the July balance sheet, I don't know, can we see financial statement? Is there a link for the financial statement on there? I'm having a hard time seeing it. I think so. Okay, so if we look at the July financial statement. Okay, is there a way to make it bigger a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay, can we go to the second page where it shows the fund balance account? Okay, so right here, where you see this surplus reserve for next year budget, this 898, that is a very large number. I've never seen it anywhere near there. And the reason it's so large is because you receive these funds from our district for the COVID related DSG lost revenue, right? And so they were giving, actually, that last one was for an estimated 23-24, which I think it's gonna be better. But anyway, we had, if you choose to do what I'm suggesting, you would be reducing this amount by just say $50,000 or something and moving it up into an account under unrestricted fund balance, which then you could allocate out into accounts for the 23-24 year. Okay, so you may want to consider just moving it now to fund, to special allocations. And then we can, you can work on where it's gonna go exactly, but I know that there's a few different accounts that aren't gonna have enough funding in for the cost of living adjustments, the COLAs. Okay. Okay, and are there any questions? I know it might seem like a lot of information. The young man here who had accounting, have you had 1A yet?
Yeah.
So you're familiar with balance sheets and income statements? Okay, so yeah, there's a lot of information on the website. If you want to take a look at a full fiscal year, you look at the June 30th statement. Okay, so the June 30th statement, can we go back to that one?
Oh.
This is July, so let's go back to June. And then this is the balance sheet. So it starts with the balance sheet. Let's go down to the keep going to Fund 41 income statement. That's still the balance sheet. Let's keep going. That's that consolidated. Keep going. 41. Okay, so this is the 41. One more.
Well,
Yeah, so
Okay.
this one is specific for Fund 41 income statement that shows you all the detail of the revenue. So this is for the whole fiscal year 22-23. And when you look at the actual year to date column, you see how much. That's where I get the 816 number for the total revenue and so on. And can we go to the last page of this one? This is where I want to show you where you got that transfers from other funding sources money. Oh no, the last page of Fund 41.
Oh, last page.
Yeah, there's a lot of reports all combined into one file here. So Fund 41 and Fund 46 are the DSG funds. Okay, so if you look at this transfers from other funding sources, okay, so this shows you had a total of 819. This is not something you see. I mean, it's just been during these COVID times that you receive some special funding. And the first funding that you had received, you allocated out. So the first funding, see, I have a note here that the HER funding for 21-22 DSG lost revenue of 382,883. You made some budget revisions based on this amount, and the Senate approved them on January 18th, 2023 into these accounts for these amounts that totaled $118,059. Okay, and then in May of 2023, you received an additional 436,000. So this is like a one-time thing. You're not going to see these kind of numbers again. That's why I'm saying you have a special opportunity to look at maybe some one-time larger dollar requests, but not something that's ongoing, because eventually the ongoing types of funding need a revenue stream. And this is really one time. It's not gonna be there, right? Once it's spent, it's gone. So, okay, are there any questions about that?
Wait, Lisa, I just wanna reiterate, so we have the opportunity to get like $50,000 in special allocations.
Yes, there will be a need, because if you look at special allocations, you only have 16,000. If you look at the July statement, right? And you look at special allocations, it's only $16,000.
Okay.
So I would suggest too that you plug some bigger number in for 24-25. You have anything to add? Okay. Yeah, so it's just an unusual situation. It's something that just, you know, because of COVID, you're seeing these kind of dollars come into your, under your control. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so because they filled in for the loss of revenue because of COVID, right?
Yeah,
So you're saying that the 24-25 year, we have more money to allocate for projects, but better the project not be ongoing? Because-
yes,
Okay, cool.
because these are one-time dollars that you got.
Okay.
Right, so while it's adding to your fund balance, right, now that you have your restricted fund balance that's in an account for the next year's budget. Right, but I'm suggesting that it's such a large number, and there's need in 23-24 that you move some of that out of restricted fund balance to unrestricted, so you can allocate it into the 23-24 budget and make budget revisions. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Because you work on a balanced budget. Yeah. So at this time, you know, we don't know exactly the numbers that we're gonna be. The budget shortfalls in some of these accounts. Benefits go up, you know, as the cost of living adjustment is implemented. Benefits are also based on the labor part of these positions, and then that's gonna go up, and then there's changes in benefits beginning January 1st, so there's a lot of components to especially classified positions that DSG funds. Okay, maybe we can just talk a little bit about the special allocation process. I think that was the other thing I was just gonna go over, so you understand how that process works. And then probably my time is up. Okay, so special allocation process. This just gives you the information here about how much is there, right? So Fund 41 is this account, and there's a total of only 16,000. I can't remember why DSG put so little in there. I don't recall why it was, but this is actually a pretty small number. A lot of years there were much higher dollars. Do you remember those years? Much higher dollars in special allocations. Anyway, that's a small number. And then Fund 46, there's 11,368. But Fund 46 has, the budget in Fund 46 continues to decline. For 24-25, it's not looking good for 24-25. Okay, we'll go into the revenue spreadsheets later on for next year that I've already prepared them drafts of those. But the finance code and your budget stipulations, they have to be followed for DSG when you make special allocation funding decisions. Of course, you know, also district and college rules and regulations and all that business. And then this is the procedure for requesting, receiving, and using DSG special allocations. So this just goes step by step on what folks do. They submit a finance committee agenda item form. Right, it gets on the finance agenda, you discuss it here. Then consideration approval by this committee. And then if you can approve an amount, it goes to the Senate. And if the Senate approves it, or a portion of it, then a memo is sent to the requester from the chair of finance notifying them of the approval. So it's prepared and signed by your DSG secretary and DSG advisor, and it was sent out by our office. And then the person who requested the funding and their administrator follows all the procedures for spending that money. And depending on what type of expense it is. Services have to go through a lot of times a limited engagement for an independent contractor. Or a student employment hiring card if they're hiring a student employee, if it's a purchase that goes through our district purchasing procedure, however it is. And then there's sometimes where we cannot pay, like for service through a contractor paperwork, that they actually have to go through an employment process of a part-time kind of temporary employee if they're not a student. So there's a lot of different procedures that need to be followed. depending on what type of expenses they've been allocated for. Are there any questions about that? Yeah, okay. All right, so I look forward to working with all of you. And if you have any questions, you see my email there too. You can email me. Or I'm in the office Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. Okay. All right, thanks.
Okay, thank you so much, Lisa. Any questions? No, so you guys got all that? No, I'm just kidding. If you guys have any questions, I know that was a lot,
Yeah.
just ask any of the senators, and I mean, most of us also don't have all of this just like right off the top of our head as well. So you can. So there's the canvas, or I think if you go on the DSG finance website, there's also a lot of information as well, but you can feel free to just ask like senators, me, Nicholas, Lydia, just like everyone, anyone. So yeah, because I know it's a lot, and there's gonna be a lot of this is gonna be repeated throughout as we go through the budget deliberation process. So you guys will actually have an opportunity to also just, feel it out as well. So don't feel bad if you don't get it the first time, because it's definitely a lot. It's like years worth of information up there. Okay, the next item, actually, Dennis, I want to move Nico's item up. What's the procedure to do that? Do I like?
Nico?
Yeah, the Nicholas's but yeah, the guiding principles. I think we should probably go over that before going over fund requests.
Okay. Yeah, just ask if there are any objections to doing that.
Okay, so. Okay, yeah, so I want to move business item 6 up to after business item 3. Are there any objections to that? No, then, okay, so business item 6 will be the 2024-2025 DSG budget guiding principles. This item is to review, update, if necessary, and approve approve. Okay, the DSG budget guiding principles for 2024-2025. Wait,
And then it's linked right there.
okay.
Right, so this is the 2024 to 2025 ESG budget guiding principles. As you guys have heard from both Lisa and Ida, and we have a total of around $800 to $1 million budget here in DASG, which may seem a lot to you right now. That's at least like what, 100 Big Macs. But then I've come to realize that that $1 million is not a lot. A lot of times after our first initial budgeting, we always come up with more than what we have. So we created this budget guiding principles for us to help us guide what we fund and what we do not fund. So yeah, let's start with that. Required, the programs requesting funds from the DSG directly affect DSG students, except for recruitment programs conducted by DSG constituents at DSG College for prospective DSG constituents. So what we fund is just programs or anything like that that helps students here in DSG. It doesn't have anything to do with enrollment. We don't pay for the we don't pay for like the professors here or the classified staff. All we do here is just for students. So number one, we fund programs that help students succeed and enable them to achieve their academic and personal goals at DSG College. Second, fund programs that promote leadership, civic engagement, and student advocacy among all students. Another one is fund programs that promote diversity, equity, and inclusion among all students. We also fund programs that follow environmentally sustainable practices. An example of that would be like last year, we had a program where students wanted to plant plants around the DSG, and they have to come to us to approve for the request. And I believe we funded that, right? Yeah.
Which one was it?
The plants around the DSG.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Another one is, we fund programs based on the current value and needs of the program, rather than solely on historical funding trends. Yeah, so going back to that $1 million budget that we often overshoot the amount, where we tend to try to see that the current value that it holds right now, rather than looking at past years and how much we fund them last year and this previous year before that. So that's the point of us interviewing them during the fall quarter, just so we could get a glimpse of their current value. And we could judge it based on that rather than what we funded them last year. Another one would be fund programs that benefit students during the 2023 and 2024 fiscal year. We also fund programs that benefit DSG constituents. We fund programs that promote student retention by enhancing the quality of education here at the DASG. And we also fund programs that support student activities and enhance students' extracurricular experience. In other words, fund programs that are not considered essential programs and services for students, as those programs and services are the responsibility of the college to fund. Essential programs and services include, but are not limited to, tutorial service for students, transfer counseling services, athletics entry fees, and referees. We put that in the budget guiding principles, but a lot of our budget here at the DASG is used to fund these services that are essential to students. So our main goal here, one of our main goals here at finance is we want to try to move those funds away from Fund 41 back to the college, so we have more budget to actually fund programs here at the DASG for the students. And we are currently working on that since like a couple years past, and we are still currently working on that right now. And we're hopeful to see some progress here. And that'll be all. Is there anything I missed?
Yeah, so when we decide whether or not we want to fund something, sometimes we're not really sure, like, okay, what's the basis of whether we say yes or no? This is gonna be the document that we kind of go back to be like, okay, is it something that follows these principles, right? So that's basically that. This is.
Huh?
Oh, wait, Dennis, I thought this was just supposed to be the information that we need to. Are we also deciding on whether or not to update anything? Or?
Well, you have to approve it. Even if you don't update anything, you still need to approve, okay, this is the 24-25 version. And then it needs to get approved by the Senate too.
Oh, all right, okay.
So next week.
Okay, so these are the budget guiding principles. What do you guys think of this? Anything to change? Anything to add? Anything, you know?
Just a question.
Yeah.
On the last point, it says, there is a responsibility of the college to fund. So does that mean that, the funding that you guys do here is separate from the essential services that the college funds? Like, is there a segregation?
Yes, so, for example, let's say you're professors, right? It would be kind of crazy if we were funding the professors, you know? It's like, because that's like an essential like thing of the college, right? If you're taking Math 1A and then DSG just decided, you know what? We're just not gonna pay your professor. Then it's just like, you don't have a Math 1A professor, you know what I mean? So it's like, there are like certain things that we're supposed to be able to fund, certain things that we probably shouldn't really fund, right? Things that are considered more like, ooh, that's more essential. That's why we say essential services a lot. That's something that typically the college would like pay for. So it's like in the context of like student body organizations, what we are supposed to be funding is kind of add-ons to the college to make the student experience better than it could be, not necessarily like the minimum requirement for a student to have like an acceptable experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
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 So that's kind of like what we're trying to do. That's a good question.
So I know that the DSG governs the ICC, right? Is it ICC? Am I saying? Kind of. Right, so my question is basically, if, for example, the student makes a club, right, and the student probably, I don't know, inside the club needs funds to do something.
They go to ICC, not the
Oh,
Yeah.
so they go to ICC, not DSG.
So we give ICC money and then ICC will decide what to do with that money. So
Right.
then the club person would just go to ICC. That's what,
So they don't,
yeah,
okay, cool.
it's a different one. Joel's actually the ICC person, head of ICC right there. Joel, say hi to everyone. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? I think I saw a hand over here earlier.
It was mine, but he asked the same question.
Oh, okay, great. Any other questions? If not, or any okay, Ian,
What are DASG constituents?
the people that we serve, the students.
Students.
Yeah.
Students.
Could we have just written students? Yes, but would it have sounded cooler? Exactly.
That is.
So yeah, what do you guys think about the principles? Do we approve this now? Do we, any reservations? Okay, can I, so, hey, Dennis, so I'll just need a motion to approve it.
Yes, on a second.
Okay. So can I get a motion, wait. Okay, can I get a motion to approve the 2024-2025 DASG budget guiding principles?
I move to approve the 2024-2025 DASG budget guiding principle.
Moved by Ian. Seconded by Eric. Any objections?
I have a question.
Yes.
Can you go back to the guiding principles? I think, do we have to change the date for fund programs that benefit students during the 2023?
Oh.
I'll take care of it. Guess I just missed that one.
That, good catch, Lee. Okay. Wait, does that count as a, did they go through? Dennis, sorry.
That's a minor.
Okay.
I can.
Alright, so, okay, so I guess that passes. It's gonna go to Senate, Senate's gonna have to approve it, but I guess it passes now on the finance level, so we can move on to. Business item 5, fall 2023 homecoming funding request. This item is to review and possibly approve a funding request of up to $10,000 for the fall 2023 homecoming event. The presenter is Hanji. And I see some other people here as well.
Hey folks, can you hear me okay?
True, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Well, welcome everybody, and I'm really excited to see so many people here at our first meeting, and it's that you're doing a great job, and I do apologize that I'm not there in person. I'm actually up in Seattle caring for my parents right now and flying in tonight. Hopefully I'll make it back tonight. I just saw that my flight's been delayed by an hour, so it's storming here, which I know is not the case in California, but all right. Is Dana in the room? Oh, great. So Dana and I are going to present on this item, but before we begin, I do want to provide some context to this. And just after hearing what's left in our special allocations, I know many of you are probably sitting there going, oh my gosh, they're going to ask for 10 grand. That's going to wipe us out, within the first quarter. So this homecoming event is a new, we're hoping a new tradition at De College. For those of you that have been here for, at least a year or even longer, think about any events that we've done on campus that is a large community event where we bring all the students, alumni, faculty and staff. If you think about it, we really haven't done anything like that. We did have opening day, but that's different. This would be an event that would be for current students. So many of you, if you've gone to school in the US, you have, I think, a basic understanding of homecoming. A homecoming event typically is it's related to a football game. And if you didn't know, we do have a football team at De Anza. And the game that we want to have this homecoming event is on November 18th. Well, it's 17th and 18th. Dana will go into a little bit more details of the events. But it's the game, which is where we're going to be playing against Foothill College. And that's why we decided that we were going to do this event related to that particular home game, because it is a home game on our campus. So President Lloyd, I want to say about a year ago, approached, I'm not exactly, I can't remember exactly how it all came about, but, you know, he comes from the student affairs side of a college or university, meaning he, as a student leader, worked on programs and events. So he's very familiar with the works of our Office of College Life and working with student leadership. And one of the things that he noticed right away is that we don't actually have large events. We don't have events kind of on a traditional annual basis. And so this is kind of how this conversation started. And for those of you in the room, if you remember, President Lloyd and some of the other senior staff were invited to our training, our student leadership training that we had a few weeks ago. During that lunchtime, I wasn't in the room, but apparently there was some conversations about having an event like this. And so that's kind of how this all kind of organically started. And so Dana and Darren, because I want to give a lot of credit to Darren, who's also a part of our ICC exec. He has class right now, and so he's unable to join us. But Darren and Dana had done a lot of research to kind of prepare this presentation. Everything is still in its infancy, so we're just starting to try to get some more information about, you know, how to move forward. But as with an event this scale, we need money. And so there has been no money allocated for this because we did not know last year during budget deliberation that we would actually do this event. So that is why we're asking for 10 grand. I've already put out a email to Lloyd, our president, asking if he could match that so that we could at least have, you know, some substantive amount of money to put on a large scale event like this. So at that, I think if Dana is ready, she has a Canva presentation that she will present next.
Yeah. All right, 1 second, we're trying to find.
So with that said, as they're, you know, working on getting that presentation up, we are hoping to gather hundreds of our current students for this event. And in Dana's slide, when we look at the budget, she can break it down for us. But we're essentially looking at a big event that Friday night, perhaps a dance or some kind of large community morning before the game starts at 1 o'clock. We're hoping to do a tailgate. So, okay, looks like it's ready. Are you ready?
Okay, hi everyone. So I'm Donna. I'm the ICC chair of programs. And so as you guys know, ICC is planning on collaborating with DASG for a homecoming, and this will be taking place November 17 to 18. And so the location is going to be the conference rooms A and B, and we're planning on having decorations like balloons and streamers, like tablecloth and posters. And we're planning on having tasty pizza as well as like other snacks like chips, fruit punch, pink lemonade, water. We're also planning on having activities like a photo booth, giant Jenga, cornhole, and ring toss. We're planning on having outside the conference room, so maybe by the fountain. And we want to also give out LED bracelets and necklaces. And so how we were planning on selling the tickets was it would be free if you have a DASG card and then $5 if you don't, because we want to keep it affordable and inclusive to make sure that everyone who wants to come can come. And also we want to also promote like students to buy DASG cards because a lot of students don't have them. And the football game would be the following day on November 18 at 1 p.m. and the tailgate would start like an hour before at 12. And so same thing, this would be free if you have a DASB card and $5 if you don't. And so we're gonna be catering food. We're thinking of things like hot dogs, hamburgers, nachos, just like basic like food that you have at any football game. And also yellow and red pom-poms for spirit. And we're also gonna be doing like face painting also. And so this is like a possible cost summary of the dance. So balloons, streamers, disco balls, and tablecloths would come out to a total of around $750. And for food, chips, drinks would come out to a total of around $4,000. And game booths. And we're also planning on having like a local like band performance or a DJ. And so that along with the game booths and the photo booths would come around to be like 2,300. And the LED bracelets and necklaces and promo items would come to 1,600. And then this is the possible cost summary of the football game. So catering would be about 1,100. Face paint would be about $50 and pom-poms would be about $200. And so we would also need custodians and security on campus. And so basically how it works is that you need to pay them for a minimum of 4 hours. So even if they're not on campus for the entirety of the 4 hours, they still need to be paid. So that would come around $370 for the dance for custodial fees and $296 for the tailgate in the football game. And security for the dance would be around $400 and again $400 for the football game. Yeah, and we're also planning on maybe inviting like alumni back for the football game. We thought that this event would not only be a way to like have more spirit on campus, but also a way to invite alumni because we don't really have any events that invite them back on campus. And we thought this would be a really nice way to start the year. And we're planning on having this be like a tradition, something that we can do every year. And so, yeah, we're really excited for Plan Homecoming. Yeah, thank you. That's it.
So let me apologize. I mispronounced Donna's name. So I'm so
Okay.
sorry, Donna. I kept saying Dana. So it is not Dana, y'all. It is Donna. Good job, Donna.
Yeah. Any questions?
If I could just add, can I just add one thing? Because I do want to kind of emphasize the significance of this event. I'm sorry, my video. Okay, there it is. We really want to start this as a tradition. And I think it would be wonderful if DSAG and ICC could work collaboratively in order to start a legacy. When you all come back, maybe 2, 3, 4 years from now, you can look back and say, I was I was on the Senate, I was on finance, I helped fund this event. We were the ones the first year to put this event on. On many campuses that have homecoming, it is a huge draw for their alumni. So it could be a great way for us to bring in more money to our college, and perhaps they can also help fund a lot of the activities that we do through ICC and DSAG. So this is more than just an event kind of put on by you all like a dance and a tailgate. It really is meant to be a really big event where everyone can get excited. That first week when students are here, we're recruiting them to come to homecoming. It's a way for us to also support our athletics department. So this really is a win-win. And I know that we're asking for a lot of money, but I hope that doesn't scare anyone, because in the grand scheme of things, an event of this scale would typically cost anywhere between 50 to 100 grand at other places. And I know we're not trying to compare ourselves to a big, university, but it is something that we could establish this year and make it a part of your all legacy. So I'll end it with that.
I know Ian had a question, but before we start asking questions, I just want to emphasize that this is an action item that we have to approve. And then after that, if we do decide to approve it, it's going to go to Senate to be approved. So I think it's a good time to ask questions now, so that, because we need to make a decision as well whether or not to approve this thing. So I think Ian was first originally.
Yeah, what's the tailgate? Help me out.
Okay, so it's just like an hour before the event, like that's where we're gonna have food and people can just like hang out like before the game.
It's like pre-drinking.
It's kind of like it's a pre-game kind of mixer. It's usually associated with football, but with all sports, people typically gather around in the parking lot. They bring their own like food. It's a huge US kind of tradition. And so we don't have to call it tailgate. We're not going to provide the alcohol, but we do want to provide free food to the students. So we were thinking somewhere on the lines, the first 300 students who come to this event will get a free barbecue before the game.
I just have a quick question about the athletics department, because I thought they charged for football games to go to their like Fund 15 accounts.
So I talked to Ron, who's the athletics director, because I wasn't sure for myself, but it is free with a DSAB card or DSAG card. I'm sorry. We need to change that. And I think it's $8 or $10 for everybody else.
Right, so those ticket fees would not go to DSG, right? It'd go to the athletic department.
Yes, that is correct.
I just want to make sure that's because it almost seemed like it was. Anyway, I thought it would.
Yeah, we probably should clarify that the proceeds of the tickets would actually, it goes back to the athletics department.
Okay, thank you.
How much are we spending on the tailgate versus just like the custodial fees and security for the game? Like 8,500 for.
I didn't hear the whole question. You were asking about security and who else?
I was just asking how much we're spending for the tailgate versus the games, like custodial fees and security. So it's 8,500 for the tailgate.
You
The
have
tailgate party.
rest of the budget.
So if I understood your question, are you asking about the cost difference between the Friday night activity and the Saturday? Or are you asking specifically how much security and custodial will cost?
The half an hour before the game, the tailgate, how much is that gonna cost?
The majority of that cost will be food, because we're hoping as a way to incentivize and draw students to the game is for us to provide free food, and then also some giveaways. So pom-poms, maybe little football balls. We haven't figured out all the little small details, but the majority of the cost will go towards food and then security and custodial cost.
Yeah.
And
about,
security, we don't know the exact because it depends on who is on duty that day. Higher rank officers are paid more, so, but we can certainly get a kind of an estimate of what that would cost us based on, you know, lower pay officers versus high pay and give you an average.
Yeah, so I was wondering, why is the dance and the football game on 2 different days? Wouldn't it be better for it to be on the same day, like just do it Saturday night?
so we were thinking about that, but it would be, especially for someone who like maybe doesn't live super close to campus, like they would have to come to campus in the morning and then stay there for a few hours for the game, the tailgate, and then go home and then come back again that same night. And we just thought like maybe it would be easier if we just had the game the night before, because at least like usually in high school, like what they do is like they'll have the game like Friday night and then they'll have the dance Saturday night. So we're just trying to like replicate that.
Yeah, and the idea about the dance is supposed to, on some campuses, and this may be something we do in the future, is that do a whole week of homecoming. So different activities kind of leading up to the big dance, but the dance is supposed to be kind of like a big, hopefully a big draw to get students to be interested in coming to the game. So we'll have some other prizes that we might give, well, we say prizes, but promotional items that we'll give away. And you know, and as Donna pointed out, it might just be too much to have everything on one day. People might get exhausted and then not want to stay for the dance.
Jenna, I think I saw your hand up earlier.
Oh, how do you show the dance? You mentioned it's in the conference rooms, like, so would that be?
Like A and B.
Oh, okay, I see, so upstairs.
Yeah, like where we had the gala.
Okay.
Yeah, then if we use conference rooms A and B, then the venue would be free too. So that costs.
Oh, wait, so what's the capacity for the dance? Yeah.
That's for the conference rooms. But also probably more because we're gonna have spaces outside also, like by the fountain, so people don't have to just stay in the conference room the whole time, they can like leave. And we're also planning on using like the fireside room as well, just in case like people might not wanna stay inside the conference room the whole time, and they want somewhere like quieter they can have.
What's the estimate amount of people you guys are having?
Yeah, we don't have it. I mean, it's the first time that we're doing an event like this, so we don't really have any reference to go by. So we don't really know how many people are gonna show up.
But I think we are targeting somewhere between 300 each day.
Right, so how much like, so does DASG have any revenue come from this, or like it's just 10,000 then? Do we have any revenue? Like, does DASG get, how much you expected to like get from like, I know the ticket sales go to the athletics department, so essentially there's no revenue for DASG from funding this.
Well, the tickets for the football game only would go to the athletics department, but if we were to charge for the Friday night event, for example, that would actually come back to DSAG. But this is not supposed to be a money-making event. This really is about bringing the community together, engaging with our students. So whatever money we get, great, but you know, the goal isn't to make this a money-making machine, although in the future, that could be something, you know, we look at and you know, and looking at how we stage the events and how we price things. But typically homecoming is not supposed to be like a money-making fundraiser. It really is simply, it's an event that we want people to get excited about. It's something that is going to bring our community together. And really, you know, if anything, is to get our students engaged with each other and connected and to increase our pride and spirit on campus.
I have a comment about the DSG fee that students pay is optional. The $10 student body fee, right? So what are students getting for that fee? You're already getting revenue of $10 per student who choose to pay that fee per quarter. So honestly, you need to show them students some benefit of paying that fee. So to have activities for them is an example of what a benefit would be. Does
So
that
in
make-
this case, if they, if they have their card, they can come to the event for free or at a lower cost. We haven't, finalized what that would be, but I agree with Lisa. We, in the past, it's been kind of an unknown why, students should pay for that fee if there's really no benefit. But if we do something like this and we can say, if they ask, well, what's the benefit? Well, you get to go into homecoming for free or at a discounted, cost. That could be one thing. Amongst other things, I think that's what DSAG needs to work on this year is like, how do we make, that card a worthwhile value for our students so that students opt in to pay.
Wait, so you guys are asking for up to 10,000. If we hypothetically gave all 10,000, does that cover every expense?
Yeah, it should cover this.
Okay.
Yeah, and well, if we get money from President Holmes, and I'm also working with Foundation to see if they can also give us money. I think that if there is leftover money, I think we would agree that it could go back to the DSAG, special allocations account. Because this is the first time we're doing this, we don't have exact figures. We're, basing it on what we know right now, but certainly, but I can almost guarantee you all that money will be used.
Lisa, I'm sorry.
I just have one more comment, and that would be to suggest that you request that like the college or foundation, whatever, pay for certain expenses. That no money would be coming down to DSG, but that they would just be agreeable to pay some of maybe the costs of like the security or custodial, those types of expenses that are more required by the college in order to have the event. Something along those lines.
Absolutely. I think, where we could share some of this cost, like with the tailgate, I think athletics, for example, should pitch in on some of the security. But those things, the other thing that we're working on right now is identifying stakeholders, meaning people who really should be a part of this planning committee. And so we're going to be reaching out to communications because my hope is that they'll help us with marketing and such. But once we kind of get to the fine details, those are, topics that we'll definitely bring up in terms of how we share the cost. So it's not all on DSAG.
Right, so this is coming out from the special allocations fund, which we have 16,000 of right now, and then on top of that, I think Libra suggested that we could move 50,000 more to it. Right, so that would be for this year, would that be for next year? I think this is more directed to Lisa.
Yeah, no, that would be separate from this, right? You have funding and special allocations currently. My suggestion was that you could add to that by reducing your restricted fund balance account and moving it to unrestricted. Okay, so that's a separate vote and a separate discussion.
Right.
Okay, but yes, there's the opportunity this year to increase what you have available to allocate in special allocation. Yeah.
Do we know how we're gonna make sure the cards are checked and everything, or like how the money is gonna be collected for those who don't have a card?
Yeah, like cash. And we're thinking maybe like we could also use Apple Pay, but we haven't really gone through the logistics of that yet.
Or just checking, not trying to collecting funds.
You got like a long one?
Yeah, pretty much. That's what the.
Yeah, it could be a long
Are there any more questions? Okay, I don't think there's any questions. Can I get a motion? Is there a motion? Would someone like to propose something?
How does the motion sound like?
You just say like, I move to approve X for homecoming, you know. X amount of dollars, if any.
Wait, do we have to approve the whole thing or?
No, you can choose, like, because it's up to 10,000, you can be like, oh, 7,000, I'll buy that. Oh, actually, can we, do you guys have a slide that encapsulates like all of the amounts? So like we can kind of see a big picture.
There's, they're like divided up into like multiple sides,
Is it,
but I can like calculate it.
And
we don't need, yes, is that,
there was a request form that came, an addenda form that had the breakdown.
oh, I see,
Yeah,
okay.
but I think
they updated
in the different expense code, so that will summarize it. But not in the detail that Donna was just presenting.
I don't know if the dollar amounts are still the same.
When I
Yeah, it
saw
did change. It did change because we didn't have the more exact figures for custodial and for
Yeah, right
security.
there. Good for the infos. Scroll down to the last page. There it is. Yeah, I don't know if that's, is that still accurate? Does that still match what's on your spreadsheet or on your slides?
Like this, right?
Yeah.
It's like a return, maybe not exactly. But. Versus minus, it might be like.
At the end of the day. Okay. It's still definitely the most.
Yeah, pretty much actually.
Okay.
Wait, let me actually.
Yeah, once you go look at the slide. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. That's what I'm saying. But then-
So I hope as you're all deliberating over the cost of this, that you're not so stuck on the amount, but about, you know, the kind of the end goal here, which is to put on an event of this kind of magnitude. Right now, there's nothing on campus that remotely, you know, would, you know, we don't have any event on our campus. And then, in fact, when I first came to DeAnza 5-6 years ago, I was actually quite surprised that we didn't do anything like this. I think the last major community event that we had at DeAnza was like back in the 90s or 80s. So, you know, we really, I think, lose a lot by not having these kinds of annual events where people look forward to it, where we're inviting the whole community, including our alumni. So I hope that you kind of really think through that as opposed to just getting stuck on the dollar amount. Certainly as the finance committee, we want you all to be fiscally responsible for how we spend our money. But in the grand scheme of things, it's very, very little money compared to what an event like this would cost.
Another thing to add is that just because we approve this right now does not mean it actually like happens. So this moves to Senate first.
Yes.
Right? So if let's say you guys want to say $10,000 to Senate, and then Senate could just decide, actually, no, we prefer just giving 5,000, or someone can like edit the motion, or like someone could just be like, no, like just like not at all. So that's something to consider as well. So just approving it now does not necessarily mean we're just like, you know. So that's also an option. Yeah.
Wait, I just had a question, sorry again. So the custodial fees and all of that that's paid by us for the game though, that's not for the tailgate party and all of that. That's just for the game, right?
No, that's for the tailgate
The game.
That's called tailgate.
and the dance.
Yes, so for everything.
Okay, so if there was no, hypothetically, if there was no tailgate, that wouldn't be a thing. Like,
Well, if
there-
the dance still needs those fees too.
Where, but the dance is the day before that, so, okay, I see.
It's
We have it for the football
Okay.
game also, so even if there was.
So the football game plus tailgate, so there was no
Yeah.
tailgate, just the football game,
Yeah,
would like, who pays for that, who pays for that custodial fees and security, is that athletics department, is that us?
Well, right now we have to assume that we're paying for everything because we have not yet met with everybody for this planning committee. And so I think right now, instead of getting into the fine details of who's paying for what, we don't really know at this point. But we are asking for 10 grand in order for us to cover all of that if need be. I'm sorry, Donna, were you gonna add something to that?
Oh, no, that wrapped up everything.
But these are all great questions, and we would once the money's been approved, we'll have a more detailed budget, and if you all like, we can come back at a later point and give you a more descriptive, detailed presentation on how the money's being divided.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a smart event. I'm still wondering, like, usually I don't really know how it works. I thought sometimes usually like football games start and dance. So I thought like there will be more incentive for someone to go to dance after like the football game being before that sort of. I think the order makes more sense. I'm not sure why I thought it. So I was wondering how you could just want to like up to the dance one night and the next like noon or like 11 o'clock come to football game against campus.
So we were actually thinking the same thing, but we can't move the date of the football game.
Yeah.
And so like that was out of our hands, like there wasn't anything to do about that.
You could was date of dance, right?
I mean, but like, if we move it the week after, then there would be even more space between the game and the dance, and I feel like that would be even less incentive, right?
What time does the dance start like right now? Like what is
6 to 9.
6?
Yeah,
And the football game is 11 to
like, it starts at 1 and the tailgate is gonna start at 12.
and then how long?
No, it would actually start at 10.
At 10. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, the tailgate starts at 10.
Yeah, so it's like a 3-hour, people don't typically come, for the full time, but it allows for people to come when they can, if they want to only stick around for an hour. Usually at the tailgate, there's food, there might be some games and activities. We would do things like maybe, ask, the first 50 students who show up at the tailgate if they would run the field before the football players come on the field, those kinds of traditions. Give away more promotional items. And again, the dance, the reason why it's the night before is because it's kind of leading up to this big game on Saturday. And as Donna pointed out, those games are already scheduled by by athletics, and they have a system for how the games are scheduled. So but the idea is on other campuses that do homecoming, you have like a week-long event and you do kind of one big event. So for example, at San Jose State, they do what's called Fire on the Fountain, and it's not part of their, actually, I think it might be part of their homecoming. It's where students all gather and they have different kinds of activities and entertainment. They give away promotional items, and it's to kind of lead up to this big homecoming football game the next day. So that's what we're trying to, create here on our campus and it also allows for students to have different options to engage, right? So maybe they don't want to go to the football game, but they want to meet other people, and they want to do it in the form of a kind of like a dance or something on a Friday night to give something for them to do.
Okay, we have, I believe, a few more minutes before time's up. So does anyone want to make a motion?
I motion to approve 9,500 for but like for this, yes.
Any seconds?
Isn't the full amount 10,000?
Yes.
Up to 10,000. And
Why-
then,
why don't you
you
go
don't
down?
have to move to approve the full amount. But you can move to approve up to 10,000. That's what it says on the agenda.
So you can approve nothing at all. Or you could approve some amount up to 10,000.
President Holmes matches it though, so you get, like, if we approve 10,000, let's say.
We're hoping.
Okay. So yeah.
Wait, so if we say 9,500 here, would Senate be able to like say, oh, we can just go with the whole 10,000?
Wait, actually, that's a good question, Dennis. Can Senate decide, a motion on Senate to say like, okay, instead of 9,500, it'll be like they'll like revise the motion to like 7,500 or something.
It can't be over the 10,000 initially requested, I think.
But it can go back to the 10,000. If we suggest a smaller amount, they could go back to the initial amount.
Yeah, in this case, yes.
Yeah, so you're all kind of like a recommending body because, you know, and that's why we kind of go through you all first. And then on Wednesday, when it comes up on our agenda, we'll still present, but really it's you all kind of rationalizing why you decided to, you know, fund that particular amount.
Move to the breakdown page here.
Okay, wait, I think there's also the option for us to just table this for like, what's that called, move the decision to next finance meeting maybe, because it feels kind of rushed now that we're.
Right.
Well,
Well, our issue is this, the event is on November 18th. It's already the 1st of October. An event of this scale, we would have started a year ago. So I would discourage us from tabling this for next week, because that's only going to, you know, delay our ability to start planning and start securing vendors and putting the money where we need it.
Okay, thank you, Hanshu. Okay, so motion.
Yeah,
on the table?
motion to approve 9,500. So like the reason I said 9,500 is because I feel like the other fees, which is the 1,500 that can consist the custodial fees and security fees and stuff. I feel like the athletics department can pay for some of that, and they haven't figured out the fine print yet, and the fine details. So they'll figure that out eventually, and I'm hoping that they can come up with an arrangement where they handle some of those costs, because that's like basic running the game costs, which we shouldn't be handling. And I guess, yeah, there's a little bit of HOCO and stuff to that, but yeah, like I said, 9,500. I'm guessing if we have something in Senate, then we can change the law to 10,000. So yeah.
Also, I think I made mention of this. I know that you guys are in the middle of the motion, but I did ask President Lloyd to match whatever we get from DSAG.
Technically, if we did 5,000 and hopefully President Lloyd matches it, then are we?
Well, no, this event, we're hoping to at least get 20 grand from somewhere. As I said, I mean, this is going to cost a lot of money. I mean, the other thing to think about is the less money we have, the less that we can provide for our students. So we're hoping to get at least 250 students at the tailgate to provide a free barbecue. But the less money we have, the less we can say we're only going to, you know, the first 100 is all that we can provide for, right? And so this can also, you know, mean that less of you will have the opportunity to eat for free. So our commitment is to try to find more funding elsewhere, but that doesn't relax the need from, you know, from DSAG. 10 grand out of all the money that we have in our budget for this kind of scale of an event is really just a dime in a bucket.
Okay, do I have a second?
I second.
You second, man.
Oh, okay, so.
Yeah, motion.
Janet, yeah.
But I don't think, I still ask about that.
Okay, stop me like
I was asking, can you go back to the slide about the facility?
Okay, we don't really have that much time anymore because we're kind of already over. So is that a yes or no, second or not?
Second.
Okay, moved by Aaron, seconded by Nico. Are there any objections?
I was just wondering if you can go back to that slide, because there's a reason for the 500 was custodial security, but I don't remember if it actually added it.
That's a rough estimate, but it actually might even be over that because originally I thought the tailgate was gonna be an hour, but it's gonna be like a few hours later. So, yeah. Yes.
think it would be much more than 500, right? Like this, Aaron's reasoning was like, oh, we should remove the part that's like this, basically remove, like, don't pay for the custodial fee for and security fee for the football game. This we want the athletics department to like share that cost. But that would be much more than 500.
Yeah, but that's gonna go about 10,000. Then we can't do it. Like, it's just the football game, should be, it's like, I don't know, it's at least gonna be 500.
I mean, so yeah, we don't really have, if it's $10,000, arguing over $500 is very confusing.
Yeah,
It's like,
so
yeah,
I think that will, yeah.
do you still wanna object or? Okay. No objections, any objections? Yes, Lydia. Oh, you object? For real? Okay.
You did or you didn't?
You did?
So we have to do a roll call vote then.
Wait, yeah, but like, are you want to come about the motion or do you just object, like what?
Yeah, if we're not sure about like the cost for security, I don't think we should cut them. And for special allocations, like we have the ability to give it to this event. So I think we should fund it like to the maximum.
I get, yeah, I'm not much.
Would we go to a vote now then?
Well, technically, yes, you need to vote if you want it, or you could also move to amend. That might be easier than going through a roll call vote right now. We don't have the table yet ready. If you're okay with going to 10,000, you can move to change the amount to $10,000 instead of 9,500, and then we can approve that if there's no objections, and then just go back to the main motion 10,000 and see if there's no objections there.
Just need to amend.
Yeah.
10,000.
I moved to amend the motion to change the amount from 9,500 to 10,000.
I second.
Moved by Lydia, seconded by Aaron. Are there any objections? And now we have to vote on.
Now, the main motion
Yes.
is to approve 10,000.
Okay. So anyone wants to make a motion to?
No, the motion now
Oh, the
is
motion is now.
to
Okay.
approve 10,000. If the amendment passed, the motion has been changed to 10,000. Are
Okay.
there any objections to the motion to approve
Oh,
10,000?
Okay, are there any objections?
To the motion to approve
Yeah, to the
10,000?
motion to approve $10,000.
I want to make sure everyone understands what they're objecting to or not
Yeah.
objecting to.
No, no, no. So then, I guess at least at the finance level, this motion passes. Congratulations, guys. You guys happy there? Oh, right. So now we're on. Public comments. Are there any public comments? No public comments. Advisor comments. Any advisor comments?
Yeah, I just want to say good job. With the first meeting, you're doing a great job, and I'm really looking forward to working with all of you. So thank you.
Looking forward to working with you too, aren't you? Okay, any more advisor comments? All right, if not, introduction and approval of prospective senators, so. Not senators, interns, not senators, interns. My bad. So wait, then we just asked everyone to line up.
Yeah, just have them state their name and which meeting this is for them.
Okay, yeah, so everyone who wants to be an intern for this committee, line up here. Should I ask people in the chat? So state your name and which meeting this is for you, and then just type that in the chat. So like, if my name is Nico, I'd write, hey, my name is Nico, this is my first meeting, and then I would just write down Nico first meeting, like my full name.
Yeah, first and last name.
Yeah. So, go ahead. Yeah, it's in the chat, and then just say it as well.
sure about that.
Yeah. we can put that in. And just say it. So I think
If someone.
You say it.
You can't just say-
That's a weird-
Oh, yeah, alright. Maybe. You tell.
Last one.
Darren, you can be there. I can, but you want me to play yet? Oh, there's a whole. Yeah. That's a whole. Like, that could be somewhere.
This will be.
Wait, we are like, it's still like. Oh, yeah, but it's like, no, it's type, it's like, wait, wait. You can say, okay, we need to use the dirt.
No, that's true.
No, you'll back.
Both the advisors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, has no back.
Okay.
Can you say that?
You need to know which internet they want.
Well, I'm actually about to link this with the correct.
You need to know which internet they want. Or we figure that out later.
So for executive advisory, we created this.
That,
So it's in the.
either way, the requirements are the same.
Yeah,
But,
maybe one can go back to one. Yeah.
We have. How about next week?
Yeah.
We discuss about. Like what it's turned.
they want to be. Like right now. Because we run to have budget and this.
Well,
But I mean, the process is the same. We can even say that now.
that's true.
Right now, I think it's the date that. But that's only. I don't know if I. Anything you don't need.
Are there any more? So any other prospective interns? Last call. Yeah, just say your names. I mean, just say your name, like, in Zoom. Whoever is. Okay, I guess that's it. I'm adjourning this meeting 5:58 AM. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, and I.